I'm just going to put it very bluntly right now. Sony ponies are on fucking suicide watch. All right, so first of all, Sony announces major structural changes, appoints the new Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO. In major news that was revealed by Variety on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning in Japan, Sony Corp has made an unexpected changes to its organizational chart. I can't pronounce this dude's name. Hideaki Nishino, who was appointed co-CEO and handled the platform side in 2024, will now act as sole president of CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Do you guys remember last year they said there was 2 people in charge? Well, now there's only fucking 1. All right. And this dude, we're going to get to this dude though. He said some wild shit. Herman Hurst, who was named co-CEO last year, no longer overseeing the entire company alongside Nishino. However, he remains in a position as CEO as the studio's business group, a subdivision created to run PlayStation studios. All right, so here's the general changes. Hideaki Tokiyo has now been promoted to the CEO of Sony Corp. Nishino has been promoted to the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He will also hold positions as CEO for Platform Business Group. Herman Holst is no longer co-CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment as a whole, and he will remain as CEO to the business group that will lead PlayStation production. All right. This change represents the second major leadership change over the last year. Previously, the position of CEO was held by a single person, Jim Ryan, who retired after 30 years of service. With his departure, Sony announced that the position would be filled by 2 people, and aforementioned Holst and Nishino. We've talked about that last year. Now the company has gone back on its decision in a way. Another noticeable change is that the position of CEO of Sony Corp, Hideaki Tokiyo, a 38-year veteran of the company, will now take over the position previously held by Kinchinio Yoshida. All of the above decisions were approved by the board to take effective April 1st. Okay, so then he puts out a statement about how he's getting ARAB money on top of this shit. Now, that's one interesting part about this. But do you guys remember some of the statements this man said in the past? I've got it here for you. In the past, we wanted to popularize console and first-party titles. Main purpose was to, of course, make the console popular. It is true, but there is synergy to it. So if you have a strong first-party content, not only with our console, but also with other platforms like computers, first-party can be grown with multi-platform. And that can help operating profit to improve. So that is another one we want to proactively work on. I personally think there are opportunities out there for the improvement of margins. So I would like to go aggressive improving our margin performance. So basically PlayStation, PC, multi-platform is gonna be a thing. But before we get to everything else that we're going to talk about, there's one more piece of information with this. Marvel Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, God of War Ragnarok to offer in-game content unlocks for users playing with a PlayStation Network account. So just to clarify, this gets into the whole thing about PlayStation games on Steam that require you to have a PSN account. Obviously, there was the whole Helldivers 2 situation, which exploded in their face. And ever since then, they've gone out of their way to really put it front and center on all their upcoming PlayStation games. But then they start with this part, all right? Starting with tomorrow's release of Spider-Man 2 for PC, which, by the way, you still can't fucking pre-order, right? Anyway, we're working to add more benefits to playing with an account with PlayStation Network. Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, coming out on April 3rd, in addition to God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, will be adding in-game content unlocks for PlayStation Network account users. An account for PlayStation Network will become optional for these titles on PC. Players who still opt in to sign into a PlayStation Network account will also enjoy the added benefits like trophies and friend management. So when the whole Helldivers 2 thing happened, this fucking paragraph right here, these 2 sentences, is like what everyone said would be a fucking middle ground that people were happy with, okay? So details on the benefits if you sign up for the PlayStation Plus account, you get skins and fucking in-game bullshit and all that type of stuff. So 3 main things here. 1, CEO, new CEO, he's number 1 now, okay? Not sharing number 1, he is number 1 now. 2, this new guy, old guy that's taken the top spot is the same dude that was saying multi-platform baby, multi-platform baby, multi-platform baby. And 3, the whole PSN requirements, to some extent, looks like it's becoming optional. This is why Sony ponies are all gonna be fucking necking themselves.
Which is stupid because it's a PlayStation fucking dog. Like their idea of making really good games to sell their console worked against PlayStation 4 and Xbox One because it was a different time back then, right? And it doesn't really work even now. Even if PlayStation had really good games, like you've already won that, and now the idea is to try and get it on everything so that game sells even fucking better. And the stupid thing is, like, I don't understand why PlayStation people are getting mad, because it's going to mean more money for PlayStation, which means it should, like, if they spend the money right, should lead into more good games, right? But I don't, like, they're so fucking retarded, and people still want that exclusive games to just be on their consoles.
That era is over.
Yeah, like, to me, where it dies was PS4 and Xbox One. And that's why PlayStation's winning. It's because of that. But now times have changed, and Xbox is shifting, and that's why they're starting to kind of win now, because they're going everywhere. And that's why, like, dude, think about how many people have Game Pass because it's on the PC. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna.
I'm so glad you brought that up, John. I know you got something to say, but hold that thought for one moment, because this kind of ties in with something else. Microsoft was the #1 games publisher in the world last month. Nearly $500 million was spent on Xbox games across Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox.
Yeah, and you don't even have Microsoft's big, like, heavy hitters on PlayStation yet. Like, you had Sea of Thieves, which, I mean, it's doing well now, but that was a fucking flop, like, originally. You have a lot of games that were kind of shit for Xbox, and you don't even have the big games going on over to PlayStation yet, and it's already doing pretty fucking well. It's doing, like, well, so once games, especially if they start actually doing games straight away, right, on all these consoles, dude, imagine how big E-Day would probably be the biggest Gears game if it releases at all at the same time.
Let's just keep it on PlayStation games at the moment. Could you imagine the next God of War being available on PC day fucking one, day and date?
Dude, holy fuck, it would smash numbers. It would beat like their original Steam numbers, just because those ones came to PlayStation, right? And I think they've finally gotten the idea of just because what they were trying to do is trying to get extra sales again. They were trying to get the original PlayStation audience to buy it twice and try and get new people, but it doesn't really work like that. Like, most people didn't buy God of War again. It's just better to actually release it everywhere, because then everyone is talking about it, and it's not just because, let's be honest, the most exciting time for a game is when it's brand fucking new for the world to see. So if it's not really brand new, if it's just coming to PC, it's not gonna have as much hype if it's a brand new PC game. Like, if the new God of War comes out, please come on PC or not, and everything. Just go on fucking everything. Like, come on, man. Like, John? Remember when? Oh, sorry. You go.
All right, thank you. But yeah, the reason why the Sony ponies are all pissed off about this is because the way they see it, this diminishes the value of the PlayStation itself for them, and they don't want to. They still want to be on the high tide, at least in their eyes. They still want to be on the high tide compared to everybody else. And the way they see it with their exclusives going out across all platforms, that's a rising tide, allowing all ships to go up to their level. That's the perspective of the Sony ponies. Now, I don't agree with it whatsoever. That's just ridiculous. This is this mindset of the old, like, 90s, 2000s mindset about consoles still having, like, this segregated, no wall, nothing, everything between them. They can't connect to each other. They can't, game together. But nowadays, with the way these things, that's it. That was all segregated. But nowadays, we got crossplay. It's fucking amazing. And it's available for all platforms. They're all similar. We just talked about this yesterday. And, everybody wants to move with the times, but these Sony ponies, they just want to hold on to that old glory, that dying glory, for just another year or something. Yeah. Sorry, now I'm done.
Which is stupid, because you still get the PlayStation trophies. So if you want to flex and be like, yo, you're getting your fucking trophies and shit. You're still with the PlayStation. If anything, it might end up becoming a bit, like, better, like, because then say if you like, you can switch between, right, if you want to. Like, so, like, in some games, let's be honest, some games do feel better on a couch in front of the big screen. There are certain games where you're like, that is a way better experience than sitting at a computer.
God of
right?
War, because it's basically a movie.
God of War, fuck, I'd say even like Halo and shit, man. Like the boys on the couch. There are just some games.
What are you doing with the boys on the couch, Maz?
But no, actually, this does bring up a good point, though. This brings us back to a question. So what's going to happen to all those banned countries for Helldiver 2 players? That's a fucking fantastic question, isn't it? That's a fantastic question.
And I don't think anything that's been said here can really answer that. Like, we don't know, is anything going to be grandfathered in? The only answers we got are upcoming games.
See, that's a good test to see how smart this new CEO actually is. Because if those games can now play Helldivers, dude, you could probably see Helldivers do a comeback. With that one move, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, you know what? We're willing to give this new CEO a chance. You've brought back all this. You're building up goodwill as a new CEO. You're going to be changing ways and actually doing cool shit. And going forward, you're going to be doing a lot better than the old cunt. Okay, fine. So yeah, I think that'll actually be a good test to see if he's actually smart or not. Like how far he wants to push this.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it will fix Helldivers. Even though I think this is they learned their lesson. But I think they just figure at this point, okay, the ship has sailed on Helldivers. There's no point in us getting rid of this because, I mean, I think they think they've burned such a bridge with that specific game. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong because I would love for them to fix it. But I just think they're going to go through the effort of... They're not going to go through the effort of fixing it on that game. But going forward, they're going to make it a point to not do that. Now, for how long they do that, we don't know. Because it's a company. They could decide, oh, no, we want to go back to how we were doing things. But I think they're realizing, maybe as a whole, because this is the second big shakeup they've had since Jim Ryan's gone, that things are just not working, right? And you need to make a change. And you have to make a change now before you end up in a position like other companies. Now, the benefit of Sony is attached to a bigger company. Well, PlayStation is attached to a bigger company, right? They're attached to Sony. So as long as people are buying appliances and televisions and any type of electronics, Sony will be around. That's their bread and butter. That makes them the most amount of money. PlayStation is it's a second. And then Columbia Pictures, their movie division, is a third. So we'll see if maybe this is, hey, we need to get shit back on track here. Hopefully that's how it works. But it's one of these things where it's too early to tell. But it is a good move, tentatively.
Well, this is from last week. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 won't be a PS6 exclusive, okay? Because I think everyone's expecting this game to be on PS6 and not PS5 at this stage, right? But the fact they're already shaping up to be like, we're not going to do exclusivity on this one then. And I think Final Fantasy 16's Steam numbers, they weren't happy about that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they're very happy with that because that broke a record. But Final Fantasy 16, they did not like those Steam numbers. And a lot of people were saying if this was day and date, those numbers would be a fuckload higher.
So with this one, he was actually answering a question from a PS5 owner. Because a lot of PS5 owners were like really worried that it was going to be a PlayStation 6 thing. And they weren't going to get it on PS5 as well. And they were like, hold up. I mean, if you guys are still a long way away and these new consoles are coming up, because it seems like they're coming earlier than fucking we've had previously, a lot of people were really fucking pissed off and were like, wait a minute, I better be able to fucking play this on my PS5 as well.
That'd be like putting the original 7, 8, and 9 having the last disc on the PlayStation 2. That'd be fucking ridiculous.
New Square Enix games will launch simultaneously on all platforms. I remember we talked about this last year.
Yeah.
So it does kind of just seem like all signs are pointing towards PlayStation getting more in on the whole multi-platform thing. And I know you were just talking about it, Moz, but I think Helldivers 2 was a big push for that. They saw
Yeah.
the initial before the big fucking collapse. They were looking at that being like, yo, wait a minute. We accidentally struck gold here. We accidentally caught lightning in a bottle. Okay.
But
Okay.
also, the collapse, I think, factors into this a lot as well, because they realize, holy shit, now we know limits. Like, now we understand this a bit better, because, I mean, obviously, Sony has put out stuff on multi-platform for basically its entirety of being in video games. How much they've put out, that's the thing. Because they put out, like, 1 or 2 games on PC and stuff like that. Like, but they're going all in now with it. And so when you do that, there are certain things that the PC market will accept and won't accept. One of those things that Sony and Microsoft have kind of learned is we are not paying for multiplayer. People don't accept that. Just straight up multiplayer. Certain things like Warcraft, stuff like that, people are willing to accept that. But they're not willing to accept paying multiplayer just to play COD. You know? I bought the game, I'm playing the game, you have the servers, just let me play. And that's how Sony used to be, by the way, with the PlayStation 3. That was I think one of the advantages and one of the places where they beat Microsoft in that generation was the fact that PSN, you could just play. You could, yes, there was PlayStation Plus, but that was for free games, right? But you didn't have to pay money to play multiplayer. And that was a huge advantage for people later on. And the Blu-ray player was kind of a disadvantage, but in the end it ended up being an advantage. But yeah, I hopefully they learn fully from this. And like, again, it's a time will tell, but I think Helldivers is the catalyst for all of this stuff. The changing of the PSN requirements again, them moving more into PC, I think it goes back to Helldivers.
See, we can say all of this, and then Spider-Man 2 on PC is released tomorrow. It released in approximately 20 hours, as of right now, 20 hours, and yet you still can't pre-order it, and there's still no fucking PC requirements for it.
A broken clock is right twice a day, huh?